Hello everyone, I'm Kelly Barnett. Welcome to my channel Instant Healthcare, where I share simple tips, expert advice, and motivation to help you live a healthier, happier life. Let's take charge of our health, one step at a time. Today we're diving deep into a topic that's often hidden in plain sight: high-functioning alcoholism. You see them every day. The colleague who kills it at work but always seems stressed. The friend who's always the life of the party but seems a little too reliant on that drink in their hand. But how do you know if someone's just a social drinker or if they're teetering on the edge of something more serious? We're going to break down the warning signs, the red flags you need to watch out for in yourself and others. This isn't about judging anyone. This is about understanding a serious issue. Stick with me to the end of this video, folks, because we're going to talk about what you can do if you recognize these signs in yourself or someone you care about. This information could be a real wake-up call. Let's talk about hangovers. We've all been there, right? That sluggish feeling after a night out. But here's the thing. If you're finding yourself battling frequent, brutal hangovers, it's time to pay attention. I'm talking about those hangovers that derail your entire day, that make it impossible to function, that have you calling in sick to work more often than you'd like to admit. Frequent hangovers can be a sign that your body is struggling to process the amount of alcohol you're consuming. It's a sign that you're pushing your limits, that you're living on the edge of being hungover. And let's be real, nobody functions at their best with a pounding headache and a churning stomach. So, ask yourself, are your hangovers becoming more frequent? Are they more intense? Are they starting to impact your life in a negative way? If the answer is yes, it's time to take a step back and examine your relationship with alcohol. Now let's talk about drinking alone. There's a big difference between enjoying a glass of wine with dinner and regularly finding yourself at the bottom of a bottle by yourself, night after night. Look, we all need a little time to unwind, to de-stress after a long day. But when alcohol becomes your go-to coping mechanism, when it's the only way you can relax or face your problems, that's a red flag, folks. Drinking alone can be a way of numbing out, of avoiding difficult emotions or situations. And let's be honest, when you're drinking alone, there's no one there to tell you to slow down, to put the bottle away, to make sure you're okay. So, ask yourself, how often are you reaching for a drink when you're alone? Are you using alcohol to cope with loneliness, boredom, or stress? Are you hiding your drinking from others? If you're answering yes to these questions, it's time to take a hard look at your drinking habits. Hiding alcohol is a big one, folks. Not just stashing a bottle in your closet, going to great lengths to conceal your drinking, pouring drinks in secret, downplaying how much you're drinking, making excuses for stopping at the liquor store. Hiding your drinking means you're ashamed, knowing it's becoming a problem. You might think you're just being discreet, but it's a form of deception. Ask yourself, are you hiding your drinking, making excuses for it, lying about how much you drink? It's time to face the truth about your relationship with alcohol. Chapter 4. Excelling at work, struggling in silence, the high-functioning trap. Now here's where things get tricky. Many high-functioning alcoholics are able to maintain successful careers and seemingly normal lives, despite their drinking. They might excel at work, be responsible parents, and even be active members of their community, but beneath the surface they're struggling. They might be relying on alcohol to cope with the pressure, the stress, the demands of their everyday lives. They might be going through the motions, but they're not truly present, not truly living. And this is the dangerous thing about high-functioning alcoholism. It can go undetected for years, even decades. People might not realize there's a problem because, on the surface, everything seems fine. But the truth is, the longer it goes unaddressed, the worse it gets. So don't be fooled by outward appearances. Just because someone seems to have it all together doesn't mean they're not battling a serious internal struggle. Chapter 5. Denial. The biggest obstacle to recovery. Let's talk about denial. Denial is a powerful force, folks. It's the voice in your head that tells you everything is fine, that you don't have a problem, that you can stop drinking anytime you want. But here's the thing about denial. It thrives on secrecy and shame. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of addiction, preventing you from seeking the help you need. You might tell yourself that you're not hurting anyone, that you're just a social drinker, that you can handle your alcohol. But the truth is, alcohol is insidious. It slowly chips away at your life, your relationships, your health. Denial is a common defense mechanism, especially for high-functioning alcoholics. It allows them to maintain the illusion of control, to avoid facing the painful reality of their addiction. So, ask yourself, are you being honest with yourself about your drinking? Are you minimizing the negative consequences of your alcohol use? Are you making excuses for your behavior? If you answered yes to any of these questions, it's time to start challenging your denial and seek help. Chapter 6. Drinking to cope, a slippery slope. Let's be honest, folks, life can be tough. But relying on alcohol to cope is dangerous. Drinking to cope is a slippery slope. Over time, you need more alcohol to achieve the same effect. Soon you're relying on alcohol for any difficult situation. Alcohol might numb the pain, but it's not a solution. You're avoiding the root cause of your stress. So ask yourself, are you using alcohol to numb your feelings? If yes, find healthier ways to cope with life's challenges. Chapter 7. Now let's talk about responsibilities. We all have them: our jobs, our families, our commitments. But when alcohol starts to take priority over these things, it's a sign that you're headed for trouble. This could look like anything from calling in sick to work because of a hangover, to neglecting your children's needs because you're too focused on drinking, to letting your personal relationships suffer because of your alcohol use. When you're in the grips of alcohol addiction, it becomes the most important thing in your life. It takes precedence over everything else, even the people you love most. You might start making excuses for your behavior, blaming it on stress, fatigue, or anything else you can think of. But the truth is, alcohol is the common denominator. So, ask yourself, are you neglecting your work or schoolwork because of your drinking? Are you letting your personal relationships suffer? Are you putting alcohol above your responsibilities? If you answered yes, it's time to take a hard look at your priorities and seek help to regain control of your life. Chapter 8. Memory blackouts, a sign of alcohol's grip. Let's talk about blackouts, folks. Blackouts are scary, plain and simple. They're periods of amnesia where you can't remember what happened while you were drinking. You might wake up the next morning with no recollection of the night before, wondering how you got home or what you said or did. Blackouts are a sign that your drinking is out of control, that you're consuming dangerous amounts of alcohol. They're your brain's way of telling you that you're poisoning it, that you're putting yourself at risk. And here's the thing about blackouts. They don't just happen to people who drink to excess every day. They can happen to anyone who drinks too much, too quickly. So if you're experiencing blackouts, don't brush them off. It's a sign that your drinking is putting you in danger, both physically and emotionally. Chapter 9. Irritability and mood swings, the telltale signs of withdrawal. Now let's talk about mood swings. We all have our ups and downs, but if you find yourself becoming increasingly irritable, anxious, or depressed when you're not drinking, it could be a sign of alcohol withdrawal. Alcohol withdrawal is no joke, folks. It's your body's way of reacting to the absence of alcohol, and it can manifest in a variety of unpleasant ways. You might experience anything from mild anxiety and insomnia to more severe symptoms like tremors, seizures, and hallucinations. The severity of withdrawal symptoms can vary depending on how much and how often you drink, but any sign of withdrawal is a sign that your body is physically dependent on alcohol. So, if you notice that you're more irritable, anxious, or depressed when you're not drinking, don't ignore it. It's a sign that your body is telling you it needs alcohol to function, and that's a dangerous place to be. Chapter 10. Increased tolerance, a dangerous sign of dependence. Let's talk about tolerance, folks. Tolerance is your body's way of adapting to the presence of alcohol. Over time, as you drink more and more, you need higher and higher doses to achieve the same effect. What used to get you buzzed after 1 or 2 drinks now takes 3 or 4, and so on. Increased tolerance is a sign that your body is becoming physically dependent on alcohol. It's a sign that your drinking is no longer a choice but a necessity. You might tell yourself that you can handle it, that you're not like those other alcoholics. But the truth is, tolerance is a dangerous sign. It means that you're on a slippery slope, that you're headed towards addiction. So, if you find yourself needing to drink more and more to feel the effects, don't ignore it. It's a sign that your relationship with alcohol is changing, and not for the better. Outrow recognizing the signs, taking action. Look, we've covered a lot of ground today, folks. We've talked about the warning signs of high-functioning alcoholism, the red flags that someone might be struggling with alcohol dependence, even if they seem to have it all together on the surface. But here's the bottom line. Alcoholism is a progressive disease. It doesn't get better on its own. In fact, it only gets worse over time. The good news is, there is hope. Recovery is possible, but it takes courage to admit you have a problem and to ask for help. If you recognize yourself or someone you love in any of the signs we've discussed today, don't wait. Reach out. There are resources available, people who care, and a path to a healthier, happier life. Thanks for watching, and remember, taking the first step is the hardest, but it's also the most important. Stay safe and take care.